two things that brought Amazon to me. One was Jeff had this vision that, like at D.E. Shaw and his banking background, you could use data to make money. And that whole concept, it's become data science and in analytics and, business intelligence and all that stuff. It was very, very nascent at that time. So he literally had to convince the board of directors that that was possible. And so my first job at Amazon was to create a presentation for the board of directors that gave a set of examples about how one could use data about customers to make money. And how they found me, I don't really know. Honestly, like I was back at Stanford, I had dropped out, and then I had joined this company, Dutch Brothers Coffee, which is now publicly traded coffee company, rad company if you don't know about it. And I had joined them as a partner running their digital side. And I had discovered this thing where if you log into Google and then you say, hey, if ever anyone's looking for coffee, show them this ad. And we printed money because nobody had figured this out yet. And so I mean, literally printing money, selling high-end coffee makers, competing with the biggest brands out there in the world. But because we were coming into the internet through Google, we bypassed all these big brands. And so I figured that out. And you put in $1, you get $100 out. Put in $1, get $100 out, and just kept doing that. If you're familiar with the concept of a money printing machine, that's literally what I found. And so I was doing fine and going to Stanford, driving around my little BMW, and I had a cute little girlfriend. And so I wasn't really looking for a job or anything. I was doing just fine. But I went to Amazon on-campus interviews and I put my feet up on the desk. I was so egotistical, so unacceptable, so beyond just terrible, beyond the pale. And so they're interviewing me and they're like, why are you here? I don't know. I just thought it would be interesting. Okay, well, then tell me what you're doing at least. And I told them this thing. And the guy sitting across the table from me is this guy named Neil Roseman. He's the VP of Consumer at Amazon. And he goes from just being completely turned off by me through the whole interview. And he just leans all the way into the desk. And he's like, wait. So you buy $1 worth of ads and you make $100, not in sales and profit every time. And I was like, yeah, dude, it's like clockwork. I just keep putting it in. And that's how programmatic advertising was born at Amazon. Amazon then taught Google how to make AdWords. And that ended up being a project that was run by a friend of mine named Blake Scholl, who's now the CEO of Boom Supersonic. If you're not familiar with Boom Supersonic, one of the coolest companies in the world right now. They are making a commercial aircraft that will go the speed of sound, supersonic speeds, for all of the major airlines around the world. So I also got to cross paths with really
obviously.
rad people.
So you used his name before, Jeff. Were you working in conversations like side by side?
Yeah, I mean, side by side, probably that would be a way step too far. But yes, like meeting with him on the regs at least once a week, sometimes twice a week, and getting this board of directors presentation ready, making sure that he felt prepared. Once that presentation was done, he promoted me to run the team. So I was working on that project in a team, and then he promoted me to run that team, and then continue to meet with him to build out that process. And the reason they pursued me, which again kind of goes back to your question about college and education, he hired me to manage a group of PhDs who were all infinitely more educated than I was. But the reason he wanted me to run them, and he was replacing a person with their PhD with me, was because of the focus on how to use the data to make money. Not just what can I do with the data, not just how can I make money, but that intersection of Renaissance review of how do I know enough about data, know enough about statistics, know enough about databases that I can manage a team of very technically adept PhDs, yet keep my feet grounded in what does the business need, how do we make money, what does it mean to make money, what works, what doesn't work, what are the policies, procedures, legal requirements to make all those things happen. And by doing that, we launched probably like 10 or 15 different projects that year. That team had been around prior to me joining, and they had launched 0 projects in the prior year. We launched 10, and of those, I would say 3 of them now are responsible for over $10 billion in revenue at Amazon.
How do you do that? And then you're there, what did we say, like a year and a few months or whatever?
Yeah, about 2 years.
Pull the trigger and say, yeah, it's been great. I got other things I want to work at.
I got bored, honestly, a year and a half in, and I started working on a moonlighting project that turned into Redfin. And when we launched Redfin, there was no way I could not jump ship and go work on it. We launched it. It was this interactive mapping application where you could look up properties and see their past property history and listings and things like that. None of those things existed at the time. You could not look for past purchase history of properties at the time. You could not use a reasonable map to do that. And maybe most importantly, there was no such thing as an interactive map. Google Maps, Yahoo Maps, Apple Maps, all those things were created as a replica of Redfin. And yes, we created that in a specific vertical, but like no one had ever made interactive mapping before. So we ended up getting front page coverage on just dozens and dozens of newspapers all throughout the country. So when we launched, I think I turned the servers on at like 2 a.m. and went to bed. And I woke up and I went to my favorite coffee shop, which is called Cafe Ladro in downtown Seattle. And I got my mocha and I turned around and everybody had their laptops. That's not unusual, but I'm not exaggerating. Every single one of those laptops had Redfin's website open and someone was showing their friend, dude, have you seen this? And that was just such an emotionally amazing experience. We had 600,000 visitors from zero the day before. Our internet providers shut us off because they'd never seen a spike in traffic like that ever before. And I went in that day and I was like, all right, I'll give it another week and see what happens. And it just kept doing amazing things. And so I put in my resignation.
It would come as no surprise to anyone listening that the funding that you've received for Deep Sentinel, you just had the funding round, I think in the spring of 2025. What was that? What do those numbers look like? What's going forward from here?
Yeah, we're passing through 15, 20 million in revenue right now. And so we raised a $15 million Series B venture round. We have, like I said, about 25,000 cameras to 10,000 customers, something in that range. And we're growing really rapidly. We're doubling year over year. I think the need for security is certainly there. I think that's expanding. The fact that we're providing something that is at a price point that's never existed before, at a service level that's never existed before, that's really exciting. We have to do a lot of market education, and that's hard. It's very, very hard to do that. So my one ask of your listeners would be, if you aren't familiar with this, go look at our website, go to YouTube and search for Deep Sentinel, look at our channel. And what you're going to see is the thing that I'm the most proud of. Hundreds and thousands of stopped crimes. We stop somewhere between 3,000 and 5,000 crimes every single month. If you search for Deep Sentinel arrests, you're going to see videos of people getting arrested because we caught them. If you search for, let's say, ADT arrests, you're going to find out all the ADT employees who've been arrested for stealing your data. So in terms of like what we do, that's the norm, right? Like what you're seeing from ADT, they don't really get people arrested. They don't really stop crimes. We really have to educate people that there is an opportunity to do something way, way, way better. And yeah, it's a little bit more expensive, but really not that much more, especially for a business.
How do other people, individuals, families, whatever, like get started with this?
Yeah, so I would start at the YouTube channel, make sure that you're familiar with what you're getting. And then we have a very educationally oriented website at deepsentinel.com. We have offerings where you can buy cameras from us and we'll ship them to you. You can be protected within about a week. Set them up yourselves. You can have a local installer do them. You can get a professional installation done. You can get wired cameras. If you already have a high-end camera system that uses one of the standard systems out there, we can probably convert that and monitor that as well. So there's a bunch of different ways to kind of get protected. The way to start to go to our website, deepsentinel.com, and just learn more there.